There are moments in life when destiny decides to rewrite our story in the most unexpected way. Imagine for a second being on top of the world, having everything money can buy, and suddenly finding yourself face to face with the only person you ever truly loved, but under the most devastating circumstances you could imagine. This is the story of a man who had it all, but had lost the only thing that really mattered. A story that begins under torrential rain in the heart of New York City, where love, abandonment, and redemption intertwine in a way you could never predict. Because sometimes second chances come when we least expect them, and when we need them most. But what if that second chance came with secrets so deep they could destroy everything you've built? Would you be willing to risk your empire, your reputation, and your future for a woman who's no longer the same person you once knew? Get ready for a story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, where each revelation will change everything you thought you knew about true love, forgiveness, and the transformative power of a second chance. The rain was falling hard on Times Square, turning the concrete into mirrors that reflected the lights of the towering buildings. Michael watched from the back window of his Mercedes while traffic stopped at the red light near the subway entrance. As owner of the most prestigious hotel chain in America, Michael was used to the luxury that surrounded him. But that rainy afternoon, something caught his attention unexpectedly. Among the street vendors and tourists running for shelter, a female figure remained motionless under the rain, huddled next to one of the columns of a nearby building. His heart stopped for an instant. Even from a distance, even with wet hair covering her face, something about that woman seemed painfully familiar. "Stop here, Jim," he ordered the driver with a trembling voice. "But Mr. Michael, the meeting with the Japanese investors—" "I said stop, right now." Michael got out of the vehicle without caring about the rain that immediately soaked his Italian suit. Each step toward the woman confirmed his deepest suspicions. When he got close enough, he could see the cardboard sign she held with shaking hands. "Hungry. Please help." His breathing became agitated as he recognized those brown eyes that had been his refuge during his teenage years in upstate New York. "Sarah," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the noise of the rain. The woman looked up, surprised. For a moment their eyes met, and Michael could see a flash of recognition that disappeared as quickly as it had come. "You don't know me, sir," Sarah murmured, looking away while covering herself more with the wet cardboard. But Michael had seen what he needed to see, that small crescent moon-shaped scar above her right eyebrow, the result of a fall when they were 15. It was her. Sarah, his first love, his only obsession for years. "Sarah, it's me, Michael. Don't you remember me?" The silence between them was more deafening than the storm. Sarah kept her gaze fixed on the soaked pavement, as if the concrete of Times Square could offer her an escape from this nightmare. Michael's words echoed in her mind, but admitting she recognized him would mean facing everything she had lost, everything she had become. "Please, Sarah, you're shivering from the cold," Michael insisted, taking off his coat to put it over her shoulders. "Come with me. There's a hotel nearby." "I shouldn't. People like you don't mix with people like me," she replied with a broken voice. "People like us already mixed once. We were inseparable, remember?" Against her better judgment, Sarah allowed Michael to help her get to the Plaza Hotel, where the contrast between the luxury of the lobby and her disheveled appearance made her feel even smaller. Michael requested a discreet suite and ordered hot food while she showered. When Sarah came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a hotel robe, Michael had prepared a simple dinner. They sat in silence until she finally spoke. "I lost everything, Michael, even my dignity," she confessed, tears mixing with the water drops still falling from her hair. "After we left upstate, my dad started drinking. My mom got sick and we didn't have money for medication." Michael listened in silence, feeling how each word pierced his chest. "When she died, my dad became violent. I had to run away. I came to New York with nothing, no one." Sarah paused, her hands trembling as she held the hot coffee cup. "I did things Terrible things to survive, things a decent girl would never do. Sarah, you don't have to tell me. Yes, I do, she interrupted him, looking directly into his eyes for the first time, because there's something I never told you, something that changed my life forever. The silence became heavy between them. Michael waited, sensing that what Sarah was about to reveal would change everything. I had a daughter, Michael. Sarah's words echoed in the room like an echo that refused to fade. Michael felt how the world swayed under his feet as he processed the revelation. I have a daughter, Michael, Sarah repeated, her voice barely a whisper loaded with pain. Why didn't you tell me before? He asked, trying to control the mixture of shock and emotion that invaded him. Sarah got up from the chair and walked to the window overlooking the illuminated city. Because I lost her. Her name is Emma. She was barely 2 years old when... Her voice broke. What happened to her? I gave her up for adoption to a family in Brooklyn. I thought it would be temporary, that when my situation improved, I could get her back. Tears ran freely down her cheeks. But when I came back looking for her 6 months later, they had disappeared. Michael approached slowly. Disappeared? How is that possible? The original adoptive family moved without leaving a trace. They took Emma with them. Sarah turned to him, her eyes red from crying. I've been looking for her for 6 years, Michael. 6 years asking at hospitals, orphanages, with social workers. It's like she vanished from the world. Michael felt an iron determination take hold of him. He took his phone and dialed a number. Phil, I need you to contact the best private investigator in New York. Right now. Michael, no! Sarah protested. We're going to find her, he said firmly, holding her hands. I have resources, contacts. We won't rest until we bring Emma back. 3 days later, Phil returned with information. The original adoptive family had illegally sold Emma to another family. After a long legal trail, they discovered that the girl, now 8 years old, lived with Lisa and Mark in a brownstone near Central Park. She's alive, Sarah whispered, when Michael showed her the photograph the investigator had obtained. In the image, a brown-haired girl smiled while playing in a garden full of roses. She's beautiful, Michael said, immediately noticing the resemblance to Sarah. She has your eyes. Sarah caressed the photograph with trembling fingers. My baby. My Emma. On Sunday morning, Sarah and Michael traveled to Central Park, where the investigator had reported that the family usually took Emma on weekends. Sarah's heart was beating so hard she feared it would show through her blouse as they walked among the food carts and colorful bike rentals. There they are, Michael whispered, discreetly pointing toward a family renting paddle boats. Sarah followed his gaze and was breathless. The girl from the photograph was there, real, alive, laughing, while a man who must be Mark helped her into the boat. Lisa, a middle-aged woman with a warm smile, carried a basket with lunch. It's her, Sarah murmured, tears beginning to blur her vision. It's my Emma. They followed the family at a distance, renting another paddle boat. During the ride on the lake, Sarah couldn't take her eyes off her daughter. Emma sang pop songs with Lisa, her clear laughter like little bells echoing over the water. When the boat stopped at the dock to have lunch, destiny intervened. Emma came running to the snack stand where Sarah and Michael were buying sodas. "Excuse me, lady," the girl said with a shy smile. "Could you help me reach those candy bars?" Sarah was paralyzed. Having her daughter so close, hearing her voice for the first time in 6 years, was overwhelming. With trembling hands, she reached for the candy. "Thanks," Emma said, studying Sarah's face with childish curiosity. "You look like someone I know." The comment left Sarah speechless. Michael intervened gently. "Who does she remind you of?" Emma tilted her head, thoughtful. "I don't know. Someone from my dreams, I think." Then, impulsively, she added, "Do you have paper? I like to draw people I find interesting." Lisa approached, worried about her daughter's delay. "Emma, don't bother these people." "It's no bother," Sarah assured with a trembling voice. Emma took a napkin from the stand and without hesitation began to draw. In less than 5 minutes, she had created a surprisingly detailed portrait of Sarah's face, capturing even the small scar above her eyebrow. "How Sarah took the drawing with trembling hands. "I don't know," Emma replied naturally. "Sometimes I draw faces I see in dreams. Mom, Lisa says I have a special gift." That same afternoon, Sarah and Michael received an unexpected call at their hotel. It was Lisa. "We need to talk," the woman said, with a serious but not hostile voice. "We're expecting you at our house in Brooklyn tomorrow afternoon." When they arrived at the brownstone-painted navy blue, Lisa received them at the door with an expression that mixed nervousness and determination. Mark remained in the backyard, visibly tense. "We know who you really are," Lisa said directly to Sarah once they sat in the living room decorated with American folk art. "After yesterday's encounter, I investigated. Sarah, Emma's biological mother." Sarah felt her heart stop. "Lisa, I didn't want—" "Emma talks about you in dreams," Lisa interrupted her, surprising her. "For months now, she describes your face perfectly, even that small scar. Last night she woke up saying she had met the lady from her dreams." Michael took Sarah's hand, giving silent support. "I was also a single mother," Lisa confessed, her eyes filling with tears. "I understand the pain of having to make impossible decisions. That's why when Mark and I adopted Emma, we promised to love her as if she were our own blood. And we have." Mark intervened from the doorway, his voice loaded with protection. "Emma is happy here. I won't allow you to come and tear apart her world." "Mark," Lisa began. "No, Lisa, this woman abandoned her daughter. Now that she shows up with a millionaire, she thinks she can claim her." Sarah felt the words like stabs. "I never abandoned her. Circumstances forced me." "Circumstances?" Mark laughed bitterly. "Emma already has a family that never left her." "But she feels the connection," Lisa insisted, facing her husband. "Didn't you see how she drew her? How she recognized her immediately?" The silence became heavy in the room. Finally, Lisa proposed a solution. "We could try it gradually. Tell her you're friends of ours. Let her get used to you before revealing the truth." Mark refused categorically. "It's too risky. What if she decides she wants to go with them?" "That's not our decision," Lisa responded firmly. "If we really love Emma, we must think about what's best for her, not our fears." Sarah felt a spark of hope, but knew the battle was just beginning. A week later, while Sarah and Michael worked with Lisa to plan the first casual encounter with Emma, a phone call changed everything. Sarah immediately recognized the rough voice she had tried to forget for years. "Hey, Sarah, it's Tyler." Her blood froze. Tyler, Emma's biological father, the man who had abandoned her when she needed him most. "What do you want?" she managed to articulate. "I heard interesting rumors. Something about you getting close to our daughter again. And apparently now you have a millionaire protecting you." Sarah looked at Michael, who had noticed her sudden paleness. "She's not your daughter. You lost that right when you left." Tyler laughed sarcastically. "Now that you have money, I want my share. And Emma is mine too, never forget that. You have no rights over her." "Are you sure? Because I have documents that prove my paternity. And I also have information about your, let's say, your difficult years on the streets. You think a judge will give you custody knowing how you survived?" Sarah felt her legs trembling. "What exactly do you want?" "Let's meet tonight at Katz's Deli in the Lower East Side. And come alone." That night, Sarah arrived at the traditional deli with her heart racing. Tyler was already there, dressed slovenly, but with the same cruel smile she remembered. "You look better," he commented as she sat down. "Money suits you well. Just talk. What do you want?" "It's simple. I want $50 million, and I want to be included in Emma's life. Or else what?" Tyler took out his phone and showed her several photos. Sarah felt the world collapse. They were photos of her during her worst years, images that documented how she had to survive on the streets. "I never lost touch with you, Sarah. I've been watching you, and watching Emma secretly for years." Terror took hold of her. "What are you saying?" "I know where she lives. I know where she goes to school. I know every Sunday she goes to Central Park. Tyler leaned forward. I've been waiting for the perfect moment to claim what's mine. And that moment is now. Sarah felt nauseous. You're a monster. I'm a father who wants the best for his daughter, and the best includes her mother's new fortune. 3 days after Tyler's threat, Sarah received a court summons. He had kept his word and sued for parental rights over Emma. The hearing would be held at the Family Court of New York. On the day of the trial, Sarah arrived accompanied by Michael and the best family lawyer in New York. Lisa and Mark were also present, clearly nervous about Emma's future. On the other side of the room, Tyler waited with a confident smile next to his legal representative. The judge, an older man with a serious expression, began the session. We are here to determine the parental rights of Mr. Tyler over the minor Emma. Tyler's lawyer stood up first. Your Honor, my client is the legitimate biological father. He presents this lawsuit because the mother abandoned her own daughter when she was just a baby. Sarah felt each word like a stab, but her lawyer reassured her with a look. My client, Tyler's lawyer continued, has been looking for his daughter for years. He has the right to be part of her life. And where has he been all this time? The judge asked. Working honestly to be able to provide for his family. The judge addressed Sarah. Ms. Sarah, how do you respond to these accusations? Sarah stood up with trembling legs. Your Honor, Mr. Tyler abandoned me when he discovered my pregnancy. He never showed interest in Emma until now. That's a lie, Tyler shouted. I also have rights as a father. His lawyer then presented the compromising photographs. Your Honor, these images demonstrate the lifestyle the mother led. Is this a person fit to raise a minor? Sarah felt the world crumbling around her. The photos circulated through the room, and she could see the shock on everyone's faces. But then Michael stood up, asking permission to speak as a witness. Your Honor, I would like to present evidence about the true character of the plaintiff. Michael handed the judge a thick folder. Tyler has been married for 5 years to Maria Elena. They have 2 minor children. In addition, he has a record of domestic violence and tax evasion. The shock was evident on Tyler's face. That has nothing to do with... Are you married, Mr. Tyler? The judge asked directly. Tyler's silence was more eloquent than any answer. Furthermore, Michael continued, I have testimonies that Mr. Tyler has been harassing Ms. Sarah for extortion purposes. After the hearing, which was recessed for the judge to deliberate, Sarah knew the time had come to face the most difficult conversation of her life. Lisa had taken Emma to Central Park, where the 3 met under the shade of the century-old oak trees. Emma ran among the trees, chasing butterflies, oblivious to the emotional storm that was approaching. Sarah watched every movement of her daughter, recording these moments of innocence in her memory. Are you sure it's time? Lisa asked, noticing Sarah's paleness. She has the right to know the truth before someone else tells her in a cruel way. When Emma approached to rest, Sarah knelt at her height. Her hands trembled as she searched for the right words. Emma, can I tell you something very important? The girl looked at her with those brown eyes so similar to her own. Sure, Sarah. What's up? Sarah took a deep breath. Do you remember the other day you said, I reminded you of someone from your dreams? Yeah, I remember. It's really weird, because I always dream about a lady who sings me lullabies. Sarah's heart accelerated. Emma, are you my real mum? The question came so naturally from the girl's lips that Sarah was breathless. Lisa was also surprised. How did you know? Sarah whispered, tears running down her cheeks. Emma smiled with the wisdom that children sometimes have. Mum Lisa told me the truth a long time ago. She said my biological mom loved me so much that she gave me a family that could take better care of me. Sarah looked at Lisa with amazement and gratitude. And I always hoped you would come looking for me, Emma continued. In my dreams, you always told me you loved me. I've always loved you, my girl. Even when I wasn't with you, every day I thought about you. Emma approached and hugged Sarah with a naturalness that melted all barriers. I know, Mommy. I know. At that moment, under the sacred trees of Central Park, 3 generations of women embraced, healing wounds that had remained open for years. "Does this mean I now have 2 moms?" Emma asked. "It means you have a lot of people who love you," Sarah replied, also holding Lisa's hand. A week later, everyone gathered again in court to hear the final verdict. The atmosphere was charged with tension while the judge reviewed the documents one last time. Sarah held Michael's hand, while Lisa and Mark sat behind them, with Emma between both. Tyler seemed less confident than in the previous hearing, especially after his secret marriage and criminal background were revealed. The judge cleared his throat and began to read. After reviewing all the evidence presented and considering the best interests of the minor, this court determines that the plaintiff, Tyler, has no parental rights over Emma. Sarah felt like she could breathe for the first time in weeks. Mr. Tyler abandoned his paternal responsibilities and has demonstrated conduct incompatible with the minor's welfare. Furthermore, his attempt at extortion and harassment toward the biological mother demonstrates that his intentions are not for the child's benefit. Tyler stood up furious, but his lawyer stopped him before he could speak. Custody will continue with Mr. and Mrs. Lisa and Mark, with active participation of the biological mother, Sarah, according to the previously established coexistence agreement. That night, Michael took Sarah to the rooftop of the Plaza Hotel, the same place where they had shared dinners during the most difficult weeks. The night view of the illuminated city created a magical atmosphere with the lights of Manhattan shining under the stars. "Sarah," Michael began, taking her hands, "these months have completely changed my life. Michael, everything you've done for us, I did it because I love you. I've loved you since we were teenagers upstate, and I'll love you until my last day." Michael knelt down, taking out a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" Before Sarah could answer, they heard footsteps on the rooftop. It was Emma, who had come with Lisa for a surprise. "Wait!" the girl shouted, running toward them. From her small backpack she took out an antique ring with a flower design. "This belonged to my great-grandmother Sarah. Mom Lisa kept it for me. I want you to wear it at your wedding." Sarah immediately recognized her grandmother's ring, lost years ago. "How?" "It was among your things when you were a baby," Lisa explained from the entrance. "Now we're a complete family," Emma smiled. 6 months later, in the gardens of Central Park, under the imposing shadow of the Bethesda fountain, the most emotional wedding those lands had ever witnessed was celebrated. Sarah wore a white dress embroidered with American motifs, while a jazz band softly played At Last during the ceremony. Emma, as maid of honor, scattered rose petals along the path. Lisa and Mark watched with tears of happiness, knowing they had made the right decisions to protect their daughter of the heart. The minister, an older man who had officiated weddings in that sacred place for decades, smiled as Michael and Sarah exchanged vows. "I promise to be the family we always dreamed of," Michael said, placing the great-grandmother's ring on Sarah's finger. "I promise to love you as you have loved me, without conditions, without limits," Sarah replied, her voice broken with emotion. When they kissed, sealing their union, fireworks lit up the evening sky, as if the heavens were blessing their love. During the reception, while guests danced to the rhythm of the jazz ensemble, Sarah approached Michael with a mysterious smile. "I have a surprise for you," she whispered in his ear. "Another surprise. You've already given me everything I could dream of." Sarah took his hand and placed it gently on her belly. "Now we're complete, but we're going to be even more complete." Michael looked at her with disbelief. "Are you?" "Emma's going to have a little brother." The joy on Michael's face was indescribable. He hugged her and spun her under the stars, while the lights of the fountain created a magical atmosphere. A year later, during Thanksgiving celebration in the same place, the family gathered to give thanks. Sarah, with her baby in her arms, played on the grass next to Emma, who was now 9 years old and was the proudest big sister in the world. Michael watched his family under the golden light of the New York sunset, knowing that destiny had perfectly woven the threads of their lives. They had found love, redemption, and completeness in the least expected place, on a rainy afternoon in the heart of New York City.